In the heart of Milan, beneath the red and black banners that have waved for generations, a boy grew up with a dream that would become a legacy. His name was Paolo Maldini, born into football royalty. He was the son of Cesare Maldini, a captain, a European champion, a man whose shadow loomed large over San Siro. Yet Paolo was destined to carve his own story. He made his debut for AC Milan in 1985. Just 16 years old, a quiet teenager, slender, almost unassuming, but from his very first touch, you could see it, the composure, the calm, the confidence of someone who belonged. He wasn't just another defender, he was poetry in motion. At a time when defenders were celebrated for aggression and grit, Maldini stood apart. He didn't dive into tackles recklessly. He read the game like an open book. His anticipation, positioning, and elegance made him something entirely new, a defender who could dominate without ever losing control. By the late 1980s, AC Milan was building something historic under Arrigo Sacchi. The Dutch trio Van Basten, Gullit, Rijkaard lit up Europe, but behind them stood a wall built by Maldini and Baessi. The perfect balance of youth and experience, timing and trust. Together, they created one of the most feared defenses in football history. In 1989 and 1990, Milan conquered Europe. Back-to-back European Cups, Maldini was barely in his 20s and already among the best in the world. But he didn't chase headlines. He didn't crave attention, he just played, flawlessly match after match. As the years passed, he became the heartbeat of Milan. Coaches changed, teammates came and went, but Maldini remained, the calm amidst chaos. His leadership wasn't loud, it was built on respect. When he spoke, even legends listened. Then came 1994, the year that should have defined him. Milan reached another Champions League final, facing Johan Cruyff's dream team Barcelona. Everyone expected a close contest. Instead, Milan destroyed them. 4-0. It was a tactical masterclass, led by a defense that suffocated one of the most creative sides ever seen. At the center of it all, Paolo Maldini. That same summer, he captained Italy at the World Cup in the United States. They reached the final after a dramatic journey filled with extra-time battles and penalty shootouts. In the final against Brazil, Maldini was immense. Composed, intelligent, always in control. But Italy lost on penalties. The heartbreak was brutal, but Maldini's performances earned universal admiration. By the end of that year, he was considered one of the best players on the planet. Many believed 1994 was his year, but when the Ballon d'Or votes were counted, Paolo Maldini finished third. The award went to Hristo Stoichkov of Barcelona, the very man he had neutralized in that European Cup final. For many, that moment defined the injustice defenders faced. The Ballon d'Or had become a forwards award. Goals were easy to count, but greatness in defense quiet. Disciplined, unseen, was harder to measure. Maldini, the master of calm perfection, was overshadowed by flashier names. But he didn't complain, he never did. He just kept leading, kept playing, kept winning. Through the 1990s, Milan transitioned into a new era. Van Basten retired, Baessi aged, but Maldini stayed constant. He became captain, the face of the club, the link between generations. With every year, his consistency became more remarkable. Injuries were rare, mistakes even rarer. By the early 2000s, he was already a legend. Most players would have faded by then, but Maldini seemed timeless. Under Carlo Ancelotti, Milan returned to European dominance. With Nesta beside him, he found new balance, new rhythm. In 2003, Milan lifted the Champions League again, this time with Maldini as captain. The trophy finally in his hands. 2 years later came Istanbul, the 2005 Champions League final, Milan versus Liverpool. Maldini scored the opening goal in just 50 seconds. It was the fastest goal in final history. By halftime, Milan led 3-0. It looked over. But football had other plans. Liverpool's comeback remains one of the most shocking nights the sport has ever seen. Milan lost on penalties. For many, that defeat would have been the perfect moment to retire. But not Maldini, he returned, older yet hungrier than ever. 2 years later, in 2007, he got his redemption. Milan beat Liverpool 2-1 in Athens to win the Champions League once more. It was Maldini's 5th European crown, more than most clubs have ever won. By then, he had played over 1,000 matches, 900 of them for AC Milan. He had seen generations of footballers rise and fall, from Van Basten to Kaká, from Bayesi to Pirlo, through it all. He was constant, the captain, the example, the standard. And yet the Ballon d'Or never came. Not in 1994, not in 2003, not in 2007. Maldini's greatness was never loud enough for votes. He didn't have highlight reels filled with goals or celebrations. He didn't dance after victories or chase the spotlight. His greatness was built in silence, in positioning, in composure, in respect. When asked once about not winning the Ballon d'Or, he simply smiled and said, "You don't play football for individual awards. You play to win as a team." That one line captures everything about him. To understand Maldini's impact, you have to listen to those who faced him. Zinedine Zidane once said, "Maldini is elegance personified. He makes defending look easy." Cristiano Ronaldo called him a nightmare to play against, always one step ahead. And Alessandro Nesta, his longtime partner in defense, said you could play beside him blindfolded. He told you where to go, and he was always right. Even attacking legends admired him. Ronaldinho once joked, "If you dribbled past Maldini, you deserved a trophy." That was the level of respect he commanded. Defenders rarely win the Ballon d'Or. The last to do it was Fabio Cannavaro in 2006, and even then, it took winning the World Cup. Maldini had everything else, the trophies, the longevity, the leadership, but he never had that one summer of glory. Still, ask any footballer who the greatest defender of all time is, and Maldini's name is always there. Because footballers understand. They know greatness isn't just measured in awards, it's measured in influence, in consistency, in legacy. When Maldini finally retired in 2009, the world stood still for a moment. San Siro rose in unison, his No. 3 shirt was retired, reserved only for another Maldini, one of his sons. If they ever played for Milan, it was the ultimate tribute. After retirement, he didn't chase fame or coaching jobs. He stayed close to Milan, guiding quietly from behind the scenes. Years later, he returned as the club's technical director, helping rebuild the same Milan that raised him. Under his guidance, the Rossoneri rose again, winning Serie A in 2022. Proving that his influence still shapes the club decades after his debut. Paolo Maldini represents something rare in football: loyalty, elegance, and longevity all in one. He was never about noise, never about image, just the pure essence of the game. He played 25 seasons at the highest level, won every trophy club football could offer, represented his nation in 4 World Cups, yet never a Ballon d'Or. But maybe that's the point. Maybe the Ballon d'Or was never designed for players like him, players who define football's soul rather than its spectacle. Because when the lights fade and the noise dies down, football remembers more than awards. It remembers class, it remembers leadership. It remembers those who carried the game with dignity. And that's why when you speak of Paolo Maldini, you don't need a golden ball to explain his greatness. He was the standard, the model every defender wanted to be. The symbol of loyalty, grace, and perfection. Forwards win matches, defenders like Maldini built dynasties. Paolo Maldini never won the Ballon d'Or, but he won something greater: eternal respect. In the end, football gave him something even the trophy couldn't: immortality. Because legends fade, but icons like Paolo Maldini, they live forever.